Hello beautiful souls, welcome back to another video on Starseed Academy. My name is Jenny and today I want to talk about the simulation theory. So this is something that is talked about a lot by people like Elon Musk. I mean, the movie The Matrix, there are so many spiritual teachers that talk about it as well. It's a very well-known theory. And I'm just kind of curious where you all sit with this idea of living in a simulation. Are we in a simulation, right? Like, there are so many levels to this, and I thought it would be really fun to go through some of the possibilities and see if by the end of the video you have a bit of a more clear understanding, or maybe you are leaning more into one answer or the other. And we might change your mind today on a few things. So before we jump in, I just want to remind you to please like this video, give it a thumbs up, share this video. This is a really fun one to share. And then make sure that you're subscribed to the channel for new videos every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. So we can't talk about subject matter like this without talking about the movie The Matrix, okay? So I know that, everybody's on two different sides with this. Some people get really angry, I've noticed, and frustrated when people consider that The Matrix might be real. You know, they say things like, it's a fantasy, people, like, calm down, it's just a movie, and all of that. And then there are other people on this side who believe that, first of all, that movie is way ahead of its time, and that it was like a documentary, like a biography. And you can even see quotes from Keanu Reeves, the main star in that movie, himself saying The Matrix is a documentary. So it's definitely like a triggering topic, and that movie can be really triggering for people, which is really interesting, right? People are really sensitive about this idea. And I think that's because it makes people feel helpless. Nobody wants to visualize themselves as like trapped, okay, helpless, trapped in a simulation, or as if they are just some kind of AI in a futuristic simulation. So another person that talks about this a lot is Elon Musk. And, you know, he's quite a brilliant man. And so a lot of people put a lot of power into his words. And he has said many times that it's much more likely that we are in a simulation. With however he figured that out mathematically, I'm sure, but that the ratio, or like the reality is that, you know, there's billions of chance that we are in a simulation compared to not being in one, right? So how do you view that? Do you view yourself as that? Like, do you think that there are higher galactic beings that created a simulation style world and then inserted like us into it as consciousness? Or are we just AI and we think we're consciously aware, but we're just these AI programs? Or is it more like the Matrix, where it's humans being intentionally plugged in to be used for their energy? So there's a lot of different things that this could be. So if your consciousness was plugged into a program, then it would be using your brain to interpret the signals of that simulation, right? So now we know that that's actually a fact, or that's true, because, you know, scientific advances and doctors and all of that, I don't have any quotes for you on this, but have proven that our brains are just reading signals and then sending those signals to the body to create experiences, like the five senses, right? So that our brain is reading energy to believe that there's, you know, a pillow right here or a couch, and then our brain tells us that that's true. And then we have to believe what our brain tells us, because it's our reality. Here on Earth, as a human, the brain creates your reality. So if this brain is a computer reading signals and stimulation, and then sending that to the body to experience as reality. I mean, that's just the Matrix again, isn't it? Like, that's truly the Matrix, where you're plugged in, but your brain is telling you you're living this whole world. But that's not just the Matrix, that's any simulation. So if that's the basis to any simulation, and we know in this reality that we're in through scientists that is how the brain works, doesn't that make you wonder a little bit? How would you know if you were? How would you know if you were not? How would you know either way? I don't think you really could. I don't think you could really know for sure or be able to prove to someone either way if you were in a simulation or not. Which is why it's a debate, because nobody can prove one way or the other, and either way is actually very possible. So let me share with you some of the things that I know to be true. And this is my own knowingness and my own information that I've received through my own sources that are reliable to me, like my own consciousness, my own meditations, my own downloads, my own team, my own higher self, all of that. So of course, this is my perspective. So take it with a grain of salt, take what works for you, and then leave the rest. But here's what I would say on this. The third dimensional construct that creates this world is a program. It is a program. It's a very large program made up of a lot of small programs, right? So the smaller programs would be things like the veil of forgetfulness. That's a program. That's a program that you experience when you come to Earth, where it slowly seeps in. It doesn't happen instantly. It slowly seeps in after you're born. And the deeper it seeps into your system, the more the forgetfulness takes over. And the forgetfulness takes the memories from before Earth. The knowingness and the soul memories and the soul lifetimes and who you really are, all of that just evaporates. Poof, gone. Which is not the case with every incarnation, but does happen to be the case here on Earth. So the veil of forgetfulness is an extremely powerful and intentional program here. Another program, there are a lot of programs. Everything is a program here. And coding, it's all coding too. But, and I just also thought quickly that I wanted to mention that if you're really interested in, because I'm only going to touch on this very lightly, but if you're very interested in that kind of stuff, like the 3D construct and the coding and stuff, please check out my video, the third dimension, because it's all about that. But anyway, the other thing that I just wanted to say quickly was that there are all of these little programs that make up a big program that we can call 3D or the 3D construct or the third dimension. Another small program, but a powerful one, is the 9-to-5 program. And so that's just the title of the program, the 9-to-5 program. It doesn't necessarily mean your job is 9 to 5 exactly, but what it does mean is that we are programmed to believe that we need to work most of our day, like a huge chunk of the day, and most of our lives inherently, to receive or deserve finances like abundance in order to live a life. So saying that the abundance doesn't come from within you, it comes from outside, an outside source. And so in believing that, in plugging into that program and having it seep in and download into you, it takes away your power as a creator, because I know that we create everything. The abundance, the love, the experiences, the opportunities, the adventures, the travel, the family, everything. So we aren't just a creator for some things or some of the time. We're always a creator. And when you realize that, you won't have to go outside of yourself for the abundance. And you'll stop buying into the program. You'll stop believing in it. And as soon as you start to question it, because of all of the ways that you've proven to yourself that it isn't true, all of your knowledge, all of the research that you've been doing, and all of the experimenting that you've been doing as a creator, as soon as you start to question it, it will start to break down. And during that breakdown process, you can experience things like lack or lack mentality or fear, but it's the breaking down process that leads to freedom. So as soon as I started questioning, why am I working for someone else? And supporting their dreams when I have dreams. I have so many dreams. And this beautiful person who has their own business and is creating their own abundance, I'm no different. I can do that too, right? You are more than capable of, if that's what you want. Now, not everybody wants to be a business owner. Oh my gosh, of course not. There's so much variation. That's what makes this world so beautiful. But a lot of starseeds do. A lot of starseeds have a problem with having a boss and also having someone tell them where to be, when to be there, and what to do. Like, that doesn't really sit well for us. We need to be free. We need to feel like we're making a difference in the world, and we want to like revolve our work around that. So that's why a lot of starseeds are entrepreneurs. But to get to that point, we have to look at this program inside of us, like kind of pull it out and look at it and be like, it's just like pulling a belief out and having a look at it and being like, why do I believe that? Why have I been on autopilot in my belief with this and just going to work day after day after day, year after year? It really doesn't make any sense when you realize the fact that you're this creator who is creating everything else in your life and is absolutely capable of creating abundance. So that's one of the really powerful programs. So another really powerful program under this huge 3D program umbrella is religious programming. So powerful, especially for the older generations now. I do see us kind of like easing out of that. The power that program held over people though, oh my God, for centuries, it ruled them more than government did, more than money, which you think that's crazy. How could anything be more important to people than money and power? But religion was. It was insane. What a powerful program to control people, right? And then there's also things, programs in place around like family structures. And, you know, breaking through those is really important too, to come out of like the dark ages with what a family should look like and allowing people to love who they love and create the family unit that works for them. So, and again, we're very slowly coming out of those programs. You can see that people are starting to question the programs, and when they do that, the programs lose their power. So you've seen that now with religion, you've seen that now with the family structures, and now we're actually also kind of seeing it, just starting to see it with the celebrity program. So there's this celebrity program where we believe that the celebrities or the rich people or the elites are more important than we are, have more to offer than we do, and should be worshipped, right? I mean, it's very strange, isn't it? But I can see that starting to be questioned now, which is really good, because they don't represent a regular person, like an average. I mean, it's all very fake. It's all very made up and fake, you know, not just the bodies and the look of them and the appearance and like the photoshopping, but a lot of the time the talent isn't real, like it's not really there. The personalities are all processed. It's all just like a processed idea for someone to worship and give their power and money to. So anyway, I do see that also being really questioned right now. So these are just some examples of the smaller programs that are within that very large 3D construct program. So the third dimension is something that you are born into. So not so much plugged into, like the Matrix, where you saw all the plugs all over the body, which is symbolic, really, isn't it? Because we're born into it, and then all of these programs that are energetic seep in very slowly, starting with that veil of forgetfulness, and then being socially conditioned, and then school, and a lot of the family unit, a lot of things through your childhood. It all seeps in over time. And that creates a lack of awareness. So, like falling asleep. And so, I mean, every single person that I know has at least had a period of time in their life where they were asleep. Some less than others, some big stretches, some are still asleep. But the lack of awareness, like the buying into the autopilot programming and allowing things to think for you, takes that awareness away from who you really are as an individual, as a soul, as a powerful creator, all of that. So that lack of awareness creates that slumber and that falling asleep. And so then the opposite of that, a sense of awareness, would create an awakening. So you fall asleep because you lose who you are and you go into autopilot. But then if something wakes you up, like shakes up your sense of awareness, and you start, I mean, it could be a lot of events that would do that. I mean, a lot of the time it's a dark night of the soul, it's a near-death experience, it's some kind of a hardship or suffering or trauma. But other people awaken through blessings. Like they have something beautiful and wonderful happen. And that can wake you up too. So you can wake up in a lot of ways. But it's the sense of remembering who you are, that sense of awareness, and having that turned back on, that's the awakening. So because of this, a highly aware person will be the person to notice glitches in the matrix. So, have you ever noticed a glitch in the matrix? Or, I mean, the matrix is kind of a fun thing to call it, but truly, and a lot of people do refer to the third dimensional construct as the matrix, right? But, and for the sake of this video, we don't have to call it that. We can say the 3D construct. It's the program that we're in that runs this world, okay? So highly aware people are going to be the ones that notice the glitches in this 3D world. And so have you ever had that happen to you where you notice a glitch? I definitely have. So when a lot of people notice the same glitch, so if someone notices a glitch and then points it out and then other people see it too, and then it becomes somewhat well known or spread and talked about, that's called the Mandela effect. And the Mandela effect is a glitch in the matrix that many people recognize. So I won't get into the Mandela effect because there's a lot to unpack with that, but it's really fun to research. So please do so. Like for instance, well, it's named after Nelson Mandela. So I mean, that's one of the examples where like a huge percentage of the population remembered him dying in prison. And that was the reality that they were in. And then all of a sudden he's alive again and became like the president. And people were like, wait a minute, how come we remember this and now this is happening? Not everyone, not 100%, but like a huge percentage of people remember that. And then another weird, silly one was that book from, was it the 80s maybe? The Berenstain Bears. And the way that the Berenstain was spelled, like, I mean, I remember it as being Berenstain. At the end, it was like Stein, but now it's Berenstain Bears. Like, no, it was never that, but now it suddenly is. And so no one can explain why stuff like that happens. It's totally a glitch in the matrix. And I love that it's like there's a lot of the Mandela effects or glitches that you can look up that are super fun. And then you can kind of see like, do I remember that or not? Like the Monopoly guy, did he have that monocle on his eye? Did he or didn't he? Because it just depends on what side of the glitch you're on, right? So a lot of fun things with that. But then you can have personal glitches that you recognize. So like for me, I've had, I'm just trying to think, the most recent one was I was stretching and looking up at the ceiling where the light was, and the entire ceiling and light shifted and then snapped back into place. And I was like, did that just happen? And then like a few seconds later, it did it again, and then it's never done it since. And so I posted about that and had huge reaction from people where they had also had either experienced a weird shift in the sky or the room they were in over to the left and then snapping back into place that day, or just also wanting to share about weird things that have been happening with them. So like the more aware you are, consciously aware, self-aware, and present, right? Then the more you're going to notice these kinds of really cool things. And I love them now. Like I love noticing these kinds of glitches because it's just, I don't know, it's just more proof that you're in a program, and it's pretty cool. So another thing to mention here about glitches is that when you notice them, you multiply them. So in the 3D construct, the matrix, whatever you put your attention on grows. So it could actually be to its own detriment. Because if now you're noticing that it's glitching up or breaking down and you put some attention there and then maybe even share about it, it gets worse. So you can kind of play with it in that way too, which is funny. Now, a commonly misperceived one is deja vu. So I know that came up in the Matrix movie as well. It was the scene where the black cat went by a few times, but it was the same cat. So I think a lot of people are afraid of deja vu. Let me know. Are you? Like in the comments below, how do you feel about it? Because it does have a bit of an eerie feeling. It does, but it's not a bad thing at all. So most of the time, you can never say 100% of the time, but like the majority of the time, deja vu comes from you seeing something before you live it. And that means that you're seeing it as the soul as you were planning your lifetime. So you do like a lot of planning before you actually come and live out the incarnation. It's not just like one session with your guides of planning. It's like really intense planning where you're deciding on a lot of things that are going to come into your path. That's what soul contracts are. And if you see something as you're planning it, you're seeing it in this kind of like a holographic way or visualizing it, and then you come into the actual incarnation physically, and then you live it, and then you run across that point that you saw again. It's actually a sign that you're on track with what you planned for yourself, which is so positive. So why is everyone so afraid of deja vu? I'm not sure, but I'm assuming it's because it's kind of eerie. Like it does make you feel like, I don't know, like goosebumps a little bit, or a little bit, ooh, what is that feeling? Kind of similar to like when you dream something and then you see it in real life, right? So these are all, it's actually alignment. I mean, it's alignment. It's things coming together in the way that they're meant to come together. So please don't be like sketched out by things like deja vu. Try to be entertained by it, just like with the glitches. So when you are awake within the matrix, you are in the power seat. You are in the driver's seat, okay? Because your awareness is what will empower you as a creator. Because this 3D construct, this matrix, is built to feed your attention, wherever your attention is, to feed it with matching energy. So you can really use that to support you. You can really take advantage of that. But can you also see how it's a controlling program? Because people that are asleep and on autopilot are putting their attention where these programs want the attention to go, so that the program can keep recycling itself with very little effort, actually. So if you're on a hamster wheel of going to work, coming home, going to bed, getting up, going to work, coming home, this hamster wheel, right? Living in that routine, that autopilot way, not aware, all of your attention is feeding that that hamster wheel experience, you're powering the program with your attention. So it keeps you locked in until you wake up, and then you're like, wait a minute, if I put my attention over here, I get more of that. Well, let me try over here. And then you start to realize how powerful it is, and that you were always the one creating your reality, but now you're aware of it and can actually make informed choices and decisions and have it work for you. Okay, so the planetary grid. So this is a grid around the planet that it's an energetic grid, and it kind of looks like the way honeycomb looks, with all of the little hexagonal shapes joined together, like a net almost of energy, hexagonal net of energy wrapped around the planet. The planetary grid or net of energy holds within it the program of the 3D construct. And it keeps the Earth experience locked in to that construct. So if you want to upgrade the programming, it is so much like a simulation, even the words that we use. Isn't that so funny? Upgrade. Think about a computer, right? So anyway, if you want to upgrade the simulation or the program from 3D to 5D, then you have to upgrade the planetary grid or insert the upgraded energy into that net or that grid where it's stored. Because it's stored on the outer surface, the like circumference of the planet, like the outside, and then it feeds in. That's that seeping that we talked about. It's like pumping this programmed energy, these codes of the third dimensional construct inwards. It comes in from the outside net, seeps in to, everything, including you, and the collective consciousness. So if you really did want to upgrade the planet, you could actually do it two ways. You could upgrade the planetary grid that holds the 3D construct to a different program, a higher program. Or you could insert awakening energies into the collective consciousness and have people wake up and start using the program to their advantage and empowering themselves as creators, which would then also upgrade the program. So you can either upgrade from the outside in, planetary grid in, or from the collective consciousness out, or both. We probably need both at this point. And then outside influences of things like sun codes, solar flares, and the Schumann resonance are taking place now to also assist with that upgrade because of the times that we're in. So that's to do with the precession cycle that we talk about on this channel a lot. And that is the 12,000 years of descension for this human society, which is always followed by 12,000 years of ascension. We're on the upswing towards the next golden era. And that's what happens on the upswing because of our proximity to the sun as well. It's the precession of the equinoxes and the Earth's axis and how it moves through space and the proximity to the sun. There's a lot of details, so I won't jump into that. But if you're interested in that part of the ascension, then please research the precession of the equinoxes or the precession cycle, and it's a 24,000 year cycle. Anyway, so all of these extra influences are now really speeding up the process and why we are having so many extreme symptoms like ascension symptoms. Especially from very noticeably in the year 2020 and now in 2021, that's really where it kicked off hard. So unlike the Matrix movie, we as starseeds are not unwilling victims of it. We were very willing participants to come here and be born into it so that we could infiltrate the 3D construct from within. Because we were the kinds of souls that will awaken. So a starseed soul, you put it in any incarnation, any lifetime, and we will awaken. And we will make sure, because we will set out some really difficult soul contracts to be certain that we awaken. Very effective things like traumatic childhoods and, a lot of different traumas to make sure that we awaken, because it's our priority as these very special, unique galactic souls here on a mission to make sure that we awaken so that we can help this process along. So, but not unwilling, like in the movie where it all seemed like everybody was like a victim of it. But just like that movie, we can help others that have awakened to navigate it now and empower themselves. Because when you go through that awakening, it's very easy to fall back asleep because it's very overwhelming to realize what's really happening. And that you've been asleep for so long, like nobody wants to view themselves that way or think of it that way. It's really hard. It's really overwhelming, especially if it's a soul that's never been through something like that before, like a full-on awakening in a controlling environment. So just like that movie, we are here to help these beautiful souls that have awakened to navigate now in this kind of new world that they're experiencing, and then learn how to use it to their advantage by empowering them with that information of being a creator and how it works. However, there are always going to be people that do not want that experience. So they want to stay asleep, and they will fight with everything that they have to keep that world in place, that sleepy slumber world. And then there are other souls who may have a taste of an awakening and hate it and reject it and want to go back to sleep because ignorance is bliss. So this is like in the movie The Matrix, to use it again, the character Cypher, who said ignorance is bliss and just really wanted the stake. Do you remember that character in that scene? He wanted to go back to sleep so that he could have that ignorance is bliss experience. He wanted the comfort of it. I mean, in that they used like the steak as the example, like a juicy steak. Meanwhile, these awakened people were eating like nutrient-dense gruel, right? So, I mean, we don't have to eat the gruel, but you can't really unlearn something either. So once you've had that taste of awakening, you don't truly go back to sleep. You may choose not to progress with the awakening path, but you're not going to forget either. It's always going to be there and is now a part of you. So, but the point for that is just that you need to respect each soul's decision. And so remember, like I've said before, this is not about waking people up. We don't do that, right? We don't try to shake people awake. We don't do that. That is taking someone's free will of their experience away. Not everybody is meant to wake up or wants to, like as we've just been saying. So you can love people, and you should just love them for where they're at and for who they are, and allow them to have their own experience. Stop preaching to people. If you want to speak on things that are important to you, like your own awakening, then do so with either like a platform like this, and then the people that want that information will find you, or speak with people that are also at that level that you're at, or interested in that your experiences can help them. But at no point should you be shoving things down people's throats, trying to shake them awake, calling them sheep. All of that is very judgmental and a very low vibration, and not a starseed mission at all. That is not what we came here to do. We don't force things on people. We bring in the energies so that they are available to the people that want them. And then we set the example. And then we lovingly shepherd the people that are looking for more information, gently, right? That's the whole point of why we infiltrated from within. Too, right? We're not these outside forces coming down to shake people awake. We are one of them. We infiltrate from within humanity with love and with the energies of the awakening, and then we allow people to make their own decision. So please remember that. So, what do you think about the simulation theory? Do you believe that you are in a simulation? And if so, is it your consciousness? Is it your soul? Is it an aspect of you? I mean, what do you really think? Because there are so many layers and no one knows. Nobody knows, right? We can all have our own opinions about it. But I think it's really interesting, especially the glitches. I really like that part. That's so fun. So I can't wait to read all your comments on this super interesting topic. Let me know, your experiences with the glitches, the Mandela effect, what you believe for the simulation, and where you're at. Like, are you awakened? Are you waking up? Just everything. I just want to hear it so much. So I look forward to reading those comments. Also, just remember that if you're wanting to work with me to have either a one-on-one session or a reading, then you can find those services in the description box below. And make sure to like this video, share the video, and subscribe before you leave today for new videos every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. Please, if you're not following me on Instagram, come check me out there as well. There's a lot of different information over there in the posts and in the stories. And then there's also a Galactic Guidance live. So a live video that we do once a week over there. So definitely come over and join. That's on Tuesdays that the live happens. But before you go, I just want to remind you to listen to your heart and the quiet voice within, because you are so much more than the body you are in. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. Bye.